David Dobrik has vanished from the face of YouTube. At one point, David was on top of the world, gaining tens of millions of views per video and collaborating with the biggest creators on the platform. His chaotic energy and personable nature kept his audience always hooked to his content. However, behind this persona was David's cruel dark side. From making fun of his team members' dwarfism, essay allegations, to encouraging stunts that almost killed one of the Vlog Squad members. My name is Ryan. I uncover unseen layers of the internet, one video at a time. But in this video, we'll be uncovering the truth behind David Dobrik and why his controversies led him to abandon his 17 million subscriber YouTube channel. But in order to understand why he disappeared from YouTube, we first need to recount the many controversies that destroyed David's image as a jolly and fun-loving guy. Starting with the incident that almost took the life of ex-Vlog Squad member Jeff Wittek. In June of 2020, Jeff Wittek suffered a severe injury during the filming of one of David's vlogs that ended up changing his life forever. Jeff's quote-unquote friend, David Dobrik, carelessly swung Jeff from the arm of an excavator before he crashed headfirst into it, nearly taking his life in the process. Whenever Jeff was asked about the details of his injuries, he would always avoid the question or only offer minimal information, which some people theorized was a way to protect David's reputation. Though this would all change in April of 2021 with the release of Jeff's documentary titled Don't Try This at Home. In the series, he finally opened up about the incident, explaining how the events unfolded and the mentally challenging aftermath. Jeff also disclosed the true extent of his injuries, including torn ligaments in his knee, a broken foot and hip, and 9 different fractures in his skull. The worst of these, however, was a shattered eye socket that nearly took his sight and could have easily been fatal.
That angle of what you hit would have been about 3 degrees different. Or if that would have entered about 3 millimeters higher and been on the same angle, it would have cut your eye right now.
And if it was a few inches the other way, it would have killed me?
If it going the other way, it would have cut the big blobs out, so you would have died.
Jeff had to go through several surgeries over the span of 3 years in an effort to save his left eye, recounting his excruciating experiences with these surgeries in this documentary. The docuseries also framed the event as an accident and nothing more, but as we'll learn later on, this wasn't the truth. Fast forward to early 2022, and David's YouTube career was starting to pick up steam again, with each vlog receiving millions of views. During this period, Jeff underwent a 7th eye surgery, and when questioned during a live stream about David's support in this difficult moment, Jeff disclosed that he hadn't received any texts from David calling him out as a so-called fake friend.
Has David messaged you to see if you're okay?
Nope, not a text or nothing. Not surprised, you know? It is what it is, but I'm done being fake friends with that motherfucker.
Jeff also revealed that the documentary was deliberately edited to remove any parts that made David look bad, as he thought he was protecting the reputation of a close friend. On top of this, David didn't pay any of Jeff's hospital bills, despite agreeing to do so previously. This ended up putting an infraction on Jeff's credit card and made it impossible for him to borrow money for a house.
And our agreement was just cover the hospital bills. I don't care about anything else. But I got a bill that wasn't paid that I didn't know about because I'm not dealing with it, and they didn't pay a fucking bill. I got an infraction on my credit now. I go to get a house and I can't get a loan. So it's just like things are piling up over and over again, and just try a little bit.
Following these events, David would make an attempt to tell his side of the story in the May 9th episode of his Views podcast titled Discussing What Happened. However, his apology only made the situation worse, with viewers finding his explanation as insensitive and misguided. Comments such as, David describing the incident as the worst thing that ever happened to me and not the worst thing I've ever done is very telling. Jeff is bummed with me is the grossest way I've heard to describe a friend you almost killed, feeling like you haven't taken accountability. These comments obviously painted a clear picture of the overall negative reaction online. All of this ongoing debate and criticism from the audience revealed an obvious flaw in David's character, his refusal to take responsibility for his actions and instead believing he's the victim. This belief was further reinforced when, during the filming of his documentary with Casey Neistat, David shifted the entire blame of the incident on Jeff.
He said that it was my fault. David blamed me for the he insinuated that I was crazy. I always want to push it, and I'm the reason that this happened.
This obviously made people extremely angry. As a post on David's own subreddit read, I've lost all respect for David as a person. At first I thought it was a joke, but after hearing that David tried to blame Jeff for David spinning a crane so fast Jeff hit it and had his face bashed in, I realized that David is a sociopathic narcissist. What made David's statement so repulsive to people was that he was the one operating the excavator when this happened. That too, without any proper training or certification for handling such heavy equipment. To then go on and shift the blame on Jeff only made his actions more unjustifiable. Jeff was already quite frustrated by the years of suffering he'd been put through, but David blaming him for everything was the final nail in the coffin. In June of 2022, Jeff filed a $10 million lawsuit against David for negligence and intentional tort, which also translates to knowingly causing harm. Due to his nearly life-threatening injuries and subsequent surgeries, Jeff has incurred massive hospital bills, and life has still not returned to normal nearly 4 years later. Fast forward to 2024 and the lawsuit is still ongoing with neither party willing to back down or settle outside of the court. While not much information is available to the public, Jeff revealed on the Just Trish podcast that David tried to get the lawsuit thrown out twice but was unsuccessful both times.
What is the status of the lawsuit now? Can you say that or no?
Yeah, he tried to just reject it, dismiss it. Yeah, he tried to get it dismissed twice. The first one was, you said I was doing it for clout. The second one said I was his employee and I can't sue because I worked for him.
First, he claimed that whatever happened in the accident was entirely Jeff's fault, as he was partaking in an extremely dangerous stunt for clout. This goes back to David's inability to take any accountability for his actions. For his second attempt, David tried to dismiss the lawsuit by claiming that Jeff was an employee of the channel, which as far as we're aware, is a complete lie. None of the Vlog Squad members were paid or contractually obliged to appear in David's videos.
Alright, nobody was ever getting paid. The goal was,
yeah, that's true.
You just all film together and you get exposure.
Unfortunately for David, his attempts at damage control significantly backfired. State Farm, his insurance provider, filed a complaint against David in October of 2023, claiming that their policy doesn't cover workplace accidents. In other words, State Farm does not want to pay any money to Jeff on David's behalf. If the insurance company succeeds in backing out, David could be left to foot the entire bill out of his own pocket. However, some people still weren't convinced it was entirely David's fault. But this is where even more evidence against David came to light. When fans started to rewatch David's old videos, his abuse towards people around him became much more apparent. In November of 2018, near the peak of his popularity, David Dobrik released a now deleted video titled "She Should Not Have Played with Fire," which showed David inviting a few college girls for group sex. This premise was mostly played up for laughs, and while some expressed their concerns about the video's subject matter, most fans viewed it as nothing but harmless fun. However, the shocking truth of that video emerged as a bombshell on March 16, 2021, through an investigative report by Business Insider titled "A woman featured on YouTube star David Dobrik's channel says she was raped by a Vlog Squad member in 2018 the night they filmed a video about group sex." According to the report, the then 20-year-old victim, Hannah, was coerced into having with David's childhood friend and Vlog Squad member Dirty Dom. Allegedly, she was under the heavy influence of alcohol and could not give consent. What made the situation even worse was the discovery that the victim was under the legal drinking age at the time, yet the Vlog Squad willingly provided her with alcohol. This made the entire incident seem like it was pre-planned, which further damaged David and his team's reputation. The internet's reaction wasn't any better. The report gained immense traction and went viral on various social media platforms. As a result, David ended up losing 100,000 subscribers in just a single day. Someone even found an old tweet from David where he said, "If I left everything in the vlogs that I recorded, we'd all be in prison." This only provided further credence to people who viewed him as an evil mastermind behind the whole incident. Regardless of his intentions and involvement, however, the consequences of the report were swift and harsh. 2 days after the report went live, one of David's largest sponsors, SeatGeek, began re-evaluating their partnership with Dobrik and his YouTube channel. These contract cancellations already inflicted significant damage on David, but his troubles were far from over, because shortly after this, YouTube also removed him from the partner program, which meant that all of his channels were now demonetized and would no longer generate any revenue from ads. David's entire career, which he had carefully built over the years, vanished within days. He was desperate to salvage his reputation and decided to post an apology video. Unfortunately, it not only failed to win back his audience, but made matters even worse. For starters, the 2-minute and 30-second video titled "Let's Talk" was posted on his much less popular channel View instead of the main one. People saw this as an effort to suppress the intense backlash by avoiding the majority of his audience. The decision to disable comments and the like and dislike feature also didn't sit well with the viewers, as it appeared to be an attempt to stifle any legitimate criticism. In a nutshell, reaction to David's apology wasn't taken so lightly by the people. To most, the whole thing felt like a self-serving speech without anything that showed remorse or accountability accountability for his actions. As one comment on Reddit stated, "What a joke of an apology. It's everyone's fault but David's. Distance himself from Dom? David is the architect of all his content. Nothing gets through without David approving. David allowed this to happen, even encouraged it." In response to the negative feedback, David returned with his second apology video titled March 22nd, 2021. This time, it was posted on his main channel, and the comments and like/dislike feature weren't disabled, a sign he was starting to grasp the scale of the backlash. The video was longer, more somber, and he directly addressed the allegations.
I said and did things that were really offensive, and I called them bad jokes, and I can't even call them bad jokes, and it was cowardly of me to say in my last apology that I missed the mark, because it's fucking gross, and I'm sorry.
The initial reaction to it was a lot more positive than his previous video, with comments like, "This was very well said, David. Growth and taking accountability is part of growing up. And mad respect here, David. You did this in a very respectful way and learned from your own mistakes." People were praising him for this seemingly sincere attempt. Even the original author of the Business Insider article that brought light to the situation accepted this apology as genuine. But unfortunately for David, this positive reception was far from universal. To many of the audience, the second attempt also felt like a carefully calculated move rather than an authentic apology. The apology focused heavily on Dom's actions, yet Dobrik continued to avoid any real accountability for him organizing the entire incident. But to be fair to Dobrik, this kind of split reaction is not uncommon for YouTube apology videos. Other popular creators like Logan Paul, Colleen Ballinger, Liver King, and James Charles have also been subject to similar mixed responses with their apologies. There's almost always a subset of viewers that never fully believe the video and perceive it as completely fake, so regardless of what he said, he wouldn't have been able to escape the backlash. But credit where credit's due, David did what many other creators in a similar predicament, like Logan Paul and Colleen Ballinger, failed to do: acknowledge a bad apology video and make a second, more sincere attempt. David also pledged to do better, and more importantly, promised to reach out to the victims.
Making myself available to anyone that wants to reach out that I've hurt in the past. I want to be able to hear and understand from yourselves, and I'll be reaching out on my own to some people.
But even then, many people wondered if these were just empty words to win back his sponsors and public favor. So despite the apology attempts, the damage to Dobrik's reputation was not just limited to this incident. As longtime viewers started reassessing older vlogs, they discovered a disturbing pattern of disregard for boundaries and consent. One infamous case reemerged, a prank on fellow Vlog Squad member Seth Francois. In a now deleted 2017 video titled "He Thought He Was Kissing Her, Super Cringy," Seth was blindfolded and misled into believing he was about to kiss Corinna Kopf, a young woman he was attracted to. Instead, Dobrik swapped in Jason Nash, a much older man and a friend of Dobrik's. The reveal, typical of Dobrik's videos, was exploited for humor, showcasing Seth's obvious disgust and discomfort.
Congrats on your commercial, Seth.
At the time, most viewers saw this as a harmless prank. However, Seth came forward with a different perspective, sharing his experience on the H3 podcast. He revealed the kiss was non-consensual and deeply traumatizing, expressing how he felt violated, humiliated, and exploited for views.
In that moment, I never gave him my consent. I said,
yeah.
This incident highlighted a recurring theme. Under the guise of humor, Dobrik often pushed boundaries to the point of harm. People in his vlogs weren't just collaborators, they were props for increasingly outrageous content. This narrative was further solidified when an older snippet from his Views podcast resurfaced. During this podcast, David would clearly express just how good this so-called prank was, and how happy he is with the final outcome, while showing no remorse or understanding of the emotional distress it caused to Seth.
Let's talk about this, what really made me happy.
What?
Today, we pulled a prank on my friend Seth.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, and now you can talk about it.
It's probably the best prank I've ever pulled on anyone, in my opinion. Like, with tongue, they start making out. And at this point, we're like 5 seconds in, and I'm like, this is it. This is what I wanted. I got what I wanted. I'm out.
Things took an even darker turn when Seth began sharing additional stories from his time in the Vlog Squad. He accused them of blatant racism and pressuring him into uncomfortable situations for comedic effect. One such clip he shared was 2 Vlog Squad members doing face.
He's our only black friend. Don't ruin this for me, okay?
Seth also accused David of not condemning such behavior in his platform and letting flagrant bigotry run rampant behind the scenes, stating,
"If we can't be accountable
for the stuff that we create, if we can't be accountable for our actions, then we will never make any progress.
Following these incidents, David would decide to take a break from YouTube, and fans wouldn't see another video from him until almost 3 months later, in June, with a video titled "Surprising My Friends." This video would become an instant hit, racking up over 12 million views, and signified David's return on the platform. After this, David would begin uploading again, but not as frequently as he did previously. But just as his channel was getting back on track, another controversy from David's past would come to haunt him. This time, it was Trisha Paytas. In one of his videos, David would quote-unquote prank Trisha and her boyfriend Jason by hiding in their hotel room shower and then filming their reactions while the two are completely naked.
David, what are you doing in here? What you f***ing creep? We're trying to hang.
Trisha later revealed that she did not consent to David filming her naked and using that footage in his vlog. Obviously, this was a very traumatic experience for her, and it was at this point where some fans began to notice David's alarming behavior.
Because I felt so weird about it, and then David never put me in another vlog for like a month until the Tana thing happened in February, where the all hell.
So he was mad that you got upset about it?
Yeah, I said I was upset about it.
In one of her videos, Trisha also accused David of exploiting her and Jason's relationship troubles for YouTube views, and how David was a possible reason behind their eventual breakup. However, at the time, her allegations were met with criticism by most fans. Some even belittled Trisha for speaking out and made comments like, "When David doesn't buy you a car," and "She's the type of girl that will sue you for saving her from drowning. If you know, then you know." Though in recent years, support for Trisha has increased as more and more people have become aware of what actually went down behind David's videos. Other Vlog Squad members have also come forward with their accounts of mistreatment from David. A prime example of such abuse was brought forward by Tana Mojo, who revealed that David strongly encouraged her to have a threesome with 30-year-old Trisha and 46-year-old Jason Nash, while she herself was just 19 at the time. Now, while this is technically legal, encouraging such an act for views is highly unethical in most people's eyes. Another member of the Vlog Squad team, Big Nick, described his time working with David as a never-ending roast session. David constantly made fun of Nick's height to the point where others started doing the same, both on camera and behind the scenes.
Oh my god, I don't know why this is so adorable. Why have we never thought of this before? Nick is cute. Look at that. I can do that off. Come on back. I'll make him taller. There goes boom. Sick, an empty Lamborghini. Oh, my bad, dog.
Put your head into a bunch of melted airheads.
Finally, I can make fun of something that you weren't born with.
Eventually, when Big Nick told David that he doesn't appreciate the constant belittling, he was slowly kicked out of the Vlog Squad. And so, the backlash from the fans that followed from all of these stories we've encountered became too great for David to just ignore and continue uploading as if nothing ever happened. Eventually, he completely abandoned his YouTube channel as an audience in March of 2022. But maybe that's not entirely true. Because you see, while David's YouTube channels are completely deserted, David is still actively posting new content on Snapchat. It's evident that David's downfall and departure from YouTube was a result of his own reckless behavior and complete disregard for the physical and mental safety of his squad members. So the question is, will he ever return to YouTube? My thought is, possibly.